Winston.
West Palm Beach.
All right, this race. Here's these folks are trying to get into their feet and improvements here. You stand with that's around. Jerry, you're exactly right. I'm standing over here at the new entrance to pit road right across from turn number 3. That means the new pits run all the way from turn 3 around 4 all the way down to turn number 1, and that distance, Benny Parsons, is going to make it very interesting.
Very interesting, John, and I applaud the racetrack for making one pit road even at a 5/8 mile speedway. But, you know, it's pit road being interesting today. That's not a switch, because today is going to be very interesting. The cars, I did a survey in there, and all 36 drivers, they don't have a clue, Ned, what's going to happen after about 30 laps.
Well, that is going to be interesting. Something else that's interesting, when we go to the short tracks, and particularly here at North Wilkesboro, qualifying is so close you won't believe it. We'll cover that story today and more. Here's Bob Jenkins.
Thank you very much, guys, and hi and welcome to North Wilkesboro and the First Union 400 NASCAR Winston Cup race. Yes, qualifying, as usual, very important, but some things, it seems, remains the same in 1995. That is the pole sitter. Jeff Gordon has done it again. He has won the pole for the 4th time in 7 races in 1995. His season is phenomenal. So far, 3 wins at Rockingham, Atlanta, and Bristol. He has led more than 1,000 laps of a total of 2,213. His average start second, and his average finish 15.5. Jeff Gordon won his first short track race in his career last week at Bristol. He's looking for number 2 here this afternoon. Now, after 6 events in the season, the NASCAR Winston Cup Quest for the Cup standings show us that Dale Earnhardt has only a 17-point lead on Sterling Marlin. The top 5 are separated by 159 points, but 3 through 5 separated by just 6 markers. In the second 5, it's led by Derek Cope, and the second 5 is separated by 44 points. 8 through 10, however, separated by just 7. So at this time during the season, the points can really change. Let's go back down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, driver introductions continuing here at Wilkesboro Speedway. They're giving some special awards out behind me, but the drivers in today's field, some 36 strong, sitting here waiting patiently for driver introductions. Dale Earnhardt, Teresa behind me. Of course, Morgan Shepherd and his wife. Dale son on the back of my uniform. And by the way, the guy to my left here, you're right, that's Barney Fife. He's going to sub for whoever gets tired early on. He's got his bullet in case he can't get in a race car as early as he would like to. We are 26 minutes away from the start of the First Union 400. We'll be back with more pre-race festivities, including a chat possibly with Earnhardt in just a moment. Stay with us.
ESPN's Speedweek coverage of the First Union 400 brought to you by Allied Signals brand builders. You can pay a little now or a lot later. By the more than 1,000 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By Chevrolet. One car company has won more races in the history of NASCAR. Genuine Chevrolet. And by NASCAR 94 Year in Review. To order, call 800-71-NASCAR. It's a beautiful day here in North Wilkesboro. Temperature expected to reach near 85 degrees. Let's check in with the PA and Winston Kelly, see where they are on driver intros right now.
They wanted me to refund you $1 for that barbecue you got over the We called you this morning, or you passed it.
Starting 22nd from Franklin, Tennessee, the Western Auto Chevrolet number 17 is Darrell Waltrip.
The winningest driver at North Wilkesboro actively, Darrell Waltrip, being introduced right now. And our countdown clock around 23 or so minutes until the green flag. Now, we talked about the changes on pit road. Let's delve into that a little more closely as we go to John Kernan, who's at pit entrance. John?
You know, Bob, pit entrance used to be over there at the exit of turn number 4, but now that they've extended pit road all the way around, the drivers have to actually slow down halfway down the back straight, then make their entrance onto pit road as you enter turn number 3. Now, the reason for this, the expanded field, you recall last year, a couple teams had to double up in the pit stalls. That made for quite a mess, as you can imagine, with deciding when you could come in pit. So what they've done, instead of making 2 pit roads, they have extended pit lane all the way back here. They have added in 3940 pits. Now, not only have they extended pit road, but they've also extended the distance, the length of the pit stalls. They're a good 2 to 3 feet longer than they were. What that means is the drivers will have an easier time getting into their pit stalls and then not getting blocked in so they can exit cleanly. Now, the thing that's causing the big concern, or maybe not concern, that may not be the right word, what could make it interesting today, by the time that you enter there, it's going to take you almost half a minute to go all the way around pit road to the exit where Dr. Jerry Punch is standing by. In fact, John, the teams have timed it. It is 27 seconds at the pit road approved speed of 35 miles per hour to come from where you are all the way down to the preferred pitting spot, which is the very first pit in the pits in turn 1, and that's where the Winston Cup champion pits. And Richard Childress, the new pit entrance up there, does that help your cause or does it hurt you?
Well, you know, used to it would be an advantage to be on this far end, but today it may not be with the pit road speeds. I think with the length of pit road here, it's going to be tough not to go 2 laps down today.
Now, being down in turn 1 as a champion and gets to pick first, what advantage normally is it pitting down here?
Well, the biggest thing, you got a clear shot out of the pits. You know, today we feel sometime the preferred pit may even be back a little further, but we just always pitted on the end, and you know, it's not like it was when you could come down pit road as fast as you want to and leave out.
The champion pits in the first spot, but the pole sitter pitted about halfway up pit road. We'll tell you more about that later. Another veteran crew chief, Barry Dotson. And Barry, your thoughts are that this, what happens today on pit road could bring us a surprise winner. Why?
Well, it could, Jerry. You know, like you say, it takes 27, 28 seconds to come down pit road. Everybody clocked that yesterday. It's taking a pace car 54 seconds to get around. If you're in a case like Richard in a 3-car, when they pit, they're normally right on the pace car, so they can come in right with him. They'll have plenty of time. If you're way back, you got to think about your thinking. You don't want to get trapped in here, and if you got a guy that sees where he can't win the race with his race car not being perfect that day, with his pit crew maybe not being perfect, you might see a guy sit out here and ride right now a little bit longer on his tires because he's got plenty of gas, hoping to catch a caution, because it looks like in here today under green you're going to lose 3 laps, not 2, and it could play a part.
And this guy has done it in the past with fuel mileage, being able to win these races. If you come in under green, you're going to lose 3 laps if the caution falls. Barry Dotson could be right. We could see a surprise winner here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Well, guys, what about the new pit road? Let's get comments from Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett.
Folks, why are we talking about pit road so much? Because there's going to be a lot of activity on pit road today. I think the cars will be pitted probably every 50, 60 laps, putting on 4 new tires, because at that point, after 50 laps, they're going to be slipping and sliding so bad, they've got to stop. So pit road does become a huge story, Ned.
Well, it does. There's no question about it, and especially if they have to pit during green flag runs. It'll be a story even if they pit under caution, which most of them will hope to do. But, you know, this long pit road we have now here at North Wilkesboro has taken away one of the gripes that we've heard in the past, and that is, man, I didn't qualify good enough to pit on the front stretch. I'm having to pit on the back stretch. Well, they don't have that excuse today. There might be a way around over in turn 3 where John Kernan was, but at least it's an equal playing field. Everybody can come into the pits at their designated time depending on where they are in the field. But we know that pit road is always very exciting, but sometimes it don't work out quite the way that you'd like for it to.
It's referred to as poetry in motion, a chaotic ballet. In any case, it can literally win or lose the race. 7 men are permitted over the wall. Each has his job to do, and no one job is any more or less important than the other. It is these pit stops that have made racing a team sport. While time and effort is spent each year on making the car run faster, by the same token, pit crews spend endless hours practicing their work. Sometimes things don't go smoothly. A jack might break, dropping the car to the pavement. Precious seconds are lost. One One of the crew members can lose his footing scrambling from one side of the car to another, again costing a few seconds. When things go right, it is a fascinating choreographed dance, which can mean precious track position, sending a driver on his way to the checkered flag.
What you're looking at is part of the 1,829 tires that Goodyear has brought here to the Wilkesboro Speedway to run this 400-lap, 250-mile race. And I'm with Wayne Torrance. And Wayne, the big concern in practice is that the wear indicators, the wear pins are showing after about 40 laps, and that's got some concern. But is that a concern for Goodyear?
No, not really, Jerry, because at places we have to run a shallow tread tire. And for that reason, our wear pins are only about 2 3/4 to 3 30-seconds deep. We don't run a shallow tread here, so we have better than a 30-second of rubber after the wear pins have gone. They need to be more concerned about really times, I think, than what the wear pins show.
So the wear pins are showing at 2.5 30 seconds, meaning there's still plenty of tread on the tire, so they don't have to worry about coming in too early. Maybe in the 40-lap range, they can push it maybe up to 60.
I would certainly think so.
Okay, Wayne, thanks for joining us.
Good.
Well, if you folks have your calculators at home, it's a 400-lap race as we're about 15 laps away. You figured 400 laps, they run 60 laps per tire change. A set of tires is $1,300. You figure it out. Bob Jenkins right now is working in the booth trying to think. That's the 1,300 times 60 laps times how many sets. Folks, we're talking about 10 grand per car owner today. Back with more from North Wilkesboro after this. Stay with us. And they have just concluded driver introductions as they introduce the pole sitter for the 4th time in 1995. Jeff Gordon, he will climb down off the podium and head down toward us. And I'm standing at the front row with his crew chief, Ray Evernham. And Ray, we talked about you guys dodging one bullet last week when you came to victory lane with the cord showing in the right rear. But what the fans didn't see was what happened later. During the race, 70 laps ago, I commented that he said, the driver said, hey, we got a miss, we got a skip in the engine, but you didn't know how serious it was until you tore it down. How bad was it?
It was pretty bad. If that had been a 501-lap race, we might not have made it. In post-race NASCAR inspection, when they tear the engine apart, we found out that a screw came out of the base plate on the carburetor and went through the whole motor, and that was his miss. It ruined all the pistons, bent all the valves. It was in pretty bad shape.
So a screw was dancing around from piston to piston through the intake, just banging the motor apart, and you guys still somehow made it to victory lane.
Well, it was our day. You know, Darlington, we thought it was our day, and it wasn't. In Bristol, we didn't think it was, and it was.
Guys, can you believe it? The old saying is it's better to be lucky than good. How about when you're both good and lucky? That's what's been going on here with Ray Evernham and Jeff Gordon.
Well, Jerry, they certainly have had a lot of good things going their way, and that was one of them. And Vinny, when it's your day, I guess it's your day, because that thing could have lodged in there somewhere, and it would have been a whole lot worse than it was.
Very fortunate that the screw they're talking about is a very, very tiny screw. You know, the amazing thing is there's two that holds that butterfly on that the other one didn't break, and the carburetor would quit working. That's really, and you know what would have happened, or what did happen, is that little screw got on top of the pistons and beat those pistons up and bent the valves, and when the valves are bent, you don't get the compression that you normally would. So Jeff Gordon was very, very fortunate. John, who feels the luckiest down in the pits today?
I feel the luckiest, Benny, because of how interesting it's going to be. But I tell you, this team right here, Bobby Hamilton and the STP Pontiac owned by Richard Petty, I don't know if you could call it luck or just being really good. Career best last week, 4th at Bristol, Bobby. Last 4 starts, 3 top 10s, gone from 27 to 12 in the points. What's the difference?
It's really a lot of luck, John, but I tell you what, these guys have worked super hard and put me together a bunch of good, comfortable race cars. You know, when we unload these cars off the truck, our first lap on the racetrack is usually within a tenth of what we qualify. And it makes a driver feel real good to know you can have that much confidence in your race team and your race car to go out and run fast right off the bat like that. It's deserving for the team, STP. It's deserving for Bobby Hamilton. This place is a lot like Nashville. We're looking for a good day.
Now, you start 4th today. What's the strategy as far as tire wear? Can you go 50, 60 laps?
I went 67 laps on a set yesterday and still had markers in them. And we were pretty happy with that because you know, everybody sort of snoops around. We didn't see that a lot, but we tested good here, and we worked on long runs. I'm a little concerned about the start of the race, that the STP Pontiac might drop a little bit because of the tightness, but you have to start 10 or 15 degrees tight here to come around to be neutral after 25 or 30 laps.
Well, good luck today. Starting 4th, Bobby Hamilton. Let's move directly ahead of him. Starting in the 2nd spot, Brett Bodine. This year with Junior Johnson, Brett's first year. Man, I tell you, you haven't had much good luck this year. No top 10s, but you're starting on the front row here, Junior's home track, a place where you've won.
Well, you know, that really helped the whole team confidence rolling in here on Friday. And, you know, hopefully we can come up with a good run here today. You know, having this be home of Junior Johnson and, of course, Lowe's, our sponsor, A lot of pressure, but, you know, we feel like we got a good car, and we'll see what happens.
Well, Brett Bodine, I remember him winning that very first race, Bob, because it was my very first race right here on ESPN. It was April 22nd, 1990.
I remember it well, too. You know, 36 cars are going to take the green flag in today's First Union 400, but 45 showed up. That means that 9 drivers and teams had to go home. There they are. Jeremy Mayfield, Kenny Wallace, Steve Kinzer, Billy Sandridge, Jay Hedgecock, Chuck Bound, Randy McDonald, Jeff Purvis, Davy Jones. All of those drivers had to go home. Last week, Quaker State released a statement saying they are standing by Steve Kinzer in the Quaker State car. However, it's the second race in a row, Ned and Benny, that he did not make the race.
I tell you what, Ned, this really is a tough situation. I talked to Richard Broom, though, at the beginning of the week, and he said, we've had other drivers in our car this year. Rick Mast, he mentioned, and 3 or 4 other drivers. He said, all the drivers are reporting, though, the same thing that Steve Kinzer's saying. The car is loose getting in the corner. They practiced this week. I don't know what the results. You know anything about the results?
Well, I haven't heard the results, but they did hire Hut Strickland as a consultant to the team to help set the car up to find out what might be wrong with someone who has experience with one of these cars. It has to be a humiliating situation for Steve Kinzer after having won so much over the years. We know that he has talent. He's a winning race driver, no question about it. But it's in a different environment, and if everything is not just right, I mean, it's tough for the veterans, those who've been here for a long time, to make the field. Take a look at some of those who have provisionals here today, for example, that didn't qualify for this race. And then so it's not a crime, certainly, that he's not making some of these fields, but I know it's tough on him, Bob.
It sure is, but we have, as I say, 36 cars and drivers lined up, and we're about 9 minutes away from the green flag in the start of the First Union 400. We'll be right back. ESPN Speed World today at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina Speedway, and the First Union 400. They have increased the seating capacity here once again, seating about 50,000 people now. Let's take a look at the race analysis. We'll go 400 laps. The pole speed of Jeff Gordon, 118.765. The race record is 107.360. They should be able to go 55 to 60 laps before a pit stop. That would be because they need tires. And they're going for a purse of over $800,000 this afternoon. The track description? Well, it's a .625-mile oval, 670 feet on both the front stretch and the back stretch. The corners are banked at 14 degrees and the straightaway at about 3 degrees. We have been coming here for many, many years and watched the growth of this facility north of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're looking forward to a great race here this afternoon. 400 laps coming up, back down to Dr. Punch.
And you're looking at the Goodrich Chevrolet, which will start 5th today with the defending 7-time and current point leader of the Winston Cup Series. And Dale, a tough one last week at Bristol.
Yeah, it was. It was really something that we usually don't get involved with, but we got in a wreck and ended up 25th where we started 25th. So it wasn't a bad day after all. We didn't lose total day, but we still got further behind in the points. But you know, we qualified good here at Wilkesboro and running good. And Hornaday did a great job last night in the truck for Teresa, so we're happy about that. So maybe we have a great day today.
When this guy qualifies this well, you got to believe it's going to be an Earnhardt day. He starts 5th right behind the guy John Kernan is standing with.
I'm with Derek Cope, just getting strapped in, putting on the gloves. He starts 3rd today. Derek, 6th in the points this year, having a phenomenal season so far. Derek, what about today's race?
Well, you know, we're pretty excited about the way the straight arrow Ford's running, and Jimmy and the guys have put together a good combination, and we're just going to see if we can't stick on these front guys here and see how long we last on tires.
Well, Derek Cope is very optimistic heading into today's First Union 400, Bob.
All right, Jerry. Benny, we're going to take a look at the closeness of the field, but first, let's back up to last weekend.
I got to apologize to this guy. Derek Cope, last week, I said he hit the 3-car.
Shame on you.
I did. Folks, it wasn't Derek Cope. I apologize. I've apologized to Derek and all the team, and I apologize to all his fans.
Okay, now let's take a look at the closeness of the field as they begin to strap in.
And it was very close. From first to last, 0.351 seconds, just over 1/3 of a second in 32 cars.
And Benny, there were 3 pairs of drivers that had exactly the same time. One driver had the same time as another. It happened 3 times in the field.
There we are. Rick Maston, Jeff Burton, Steve Grissom, Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader, and Ward Burton. And then 3 drivers, Michael Waltrip, Kyle Petty, and Todd Bodine, ran exactly the same time.
You wonder how they can time them that close, but they have an electronic system that'll time them down to the thousandths of a second.
It sure isn't my calculator or my brain that does that. I want you guys to know that. The crowd is ready. We are ready, and in just a moment, we will introduce to you the 36 drivers that will be competing here this afternoon. In the meantime, we'll take a break from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
What do you say, Ernie?
Hey, appreciate everybody coming. Gentlemen, start your engines.
The Grand Marshal of today's race, and the gentleman who proclaimed, "Gentlemen, start your engines," now taking a lap around the racetrack, and we are less than 5 minutes away from the green flag of this 7th race of the 1995 NASCAR Winston Cup season. Here is the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole, Jeff Gordon, car number 24, the DuPont Chevrolet 756, I should say. 3 wins, 4 poles this season. His average start, 2.0. On the outside of the front row will be Brett Bodine from Chemung, New York, in car number 11, running for Junior Johnson, whose shops are just down the road. Starting in 3rd position, inside of row number 2, will be Derek Cope, 118.353, and then Bobby Hamilton will start on the outside of the 2nd row.
Bobby Hamilton told me this morning he didn't want to qualify any better than 4th. He wanted to start where he ended last week and go to the front from there.
Okay, in the 4th row, we see Mark Martin and Joe Nemechek. Nemechek had a good qualifying run after having a spin out in his attempt.
Ted Musgrave and Morgan Shepherd will make up row number 5. In the 6th row, it'll be Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd.
And back there we find Jeff Burton in row 7 alongside Rick Maston, identical times.
And in row 8, it'll be Steve Grissom and Bill Elliott.
And Elliott's crew chief had some problems this morning. Jerry Fox will report on that a little later as we see Schrader and Ward Burton back in row 9.
Dick Trickle and Sterling Marlin compose the 19th and 20th starting positions, row number 10. In the 11th row, it'll be Ricky Craven alongside Darrell Waltrip going for win number 11 here at this facility.
Well, he goes for numbers, so he's back in the 11th row. He must think that's an omen, Ned.
And his son, Kyle Petty, Kyle Petty will start back there in row 12, not Darrell's son, of course. And we see Todd Bodine back there along with Mike Wallace in row 13.
Jeff Bodine and Robert Presley back in row number 14. The 15th row will be Jimmy Spencer and Terry Labonte, the defending champion of this race. Randy LaJoy and Greg Sachs make up row number 16. And then we get back to the provisional starters.
And we talked about at the top of the show some of those that didn't make the field. There's Dale Jarrett, had to take a provisional. So did John Andretti. John Andretti normally qualifies well, but just couldn't quite get it hooked up here. And Bobby Labonte and the Joe Gibbs car, and Dave Marcus also with a provisional.
The engines are warming on pit road. We will be back for more pre-race and possibly the beginning of the First Union 400 after this.
We have not taken the green flag, and already problems for Dick Trickle's Quality Care Ford Thunderbird. The car would not fire on pit road. They thought it might be a battery cable. They have changed the cable, and it was not that. Now they're trying to change an ignition wiring harness inside the car, and the car is yet to fire as the field is now rolling out of turn 4 behind the Pontiac pace car. Bob?
There is a lap to go, a couple of laps to go, I guess, before the green flag comes out. Let's check in on the radio with Kyle Petty, VP.
Kyle Petty, this is Benny Parsons of ESPN. You got me?
Yes, sir. Get you loud and clear.
All right, what do you think's going to happen here today? Give us about 10 seconds.
What, it's a crapshoot the way pit road is, you know. You got to be up front close to the pace car when you pit to make good time and not get trapped. You're going to see 50, 60 lap dashes on tires. Somebody that's got a car that knows they can't win the race, they're going to stay out and gamble for a caution. They could easily have a lap or 2 laps on the field. Big crapshoot.
All right, right, folks, there you saw Barry Dodson talking to the radio network here at the Speedway.
Ted Musgrave will also carry one of our in-car cameras.
Ted Musgrave, this is Benny Parsons of ESPN. You read me?
Yeah, Benny, lead your room. Clear, Ben. Hey, what's for supper tonight?
I don't know. Let's see how hard you make us work.
Okay, if we run good, you and I will go out to dinner somewhere, all right?
Sound like a deal. Good luck to you.
There's an offer that...
Ted, you got all your fans on, bud? Jack, we're all set.
Okay, Jerry, what's the update on Trickle?
Apparently there is no juice getting to the main kill switch, the on-off switch in the back of the car that NASCAR puts on all these cars for safety so you can kill all the power. There's an accident to get into the car without the risk of fire. There is no juice getting up to that main switch, so they have taken the left rear tire off and are going to open the battery compartment. They will miss the start of the First Union 400, Bob.
Indeed they do, because the field comes off corner number 4 and gets set for a start. Let's see if we get the green flag. And here we go. The green flag is out. First Union 400 underway.
Well, that has to be the most second field in the world sitting on pit road with a green flag.
Looks like Brett Bodine has the slight advantage off the third corner at least. Let's see how they cross the line.
First lap, and he has the lead down the back stretch.
And that is the first race lap that he has led in 1995. Jeff Gordon has never led a lap at North Wilkesboro.
And the 15 car of Dick Trickle is back on the racetrack. There he is, going in turn 3. Jerry Punch?
They took the cover off the battery and found out their worst nightmare. The battery cable was not attached to the battery. They just slapped it on the battery. The car fired up, but unfortunately, he missed the green.
Side-by-side racing back for about 7th position. Joe Nemechek to the inside and Bobby Hamilton to the outside, but now Hamilton falls in single file ahead of Ted Musgrave, Rusty Wallace, and Rick Mast.
That was the 43 Bobby Hamilton. That was his concern, that he would drop back at the very beginning of the race, and it happened.
Now, for you Dick Trickle fans, he's being shown only one lap down, so it's not as disastrous as it could have been.
Watching from Ted Musgrave, now Sterling Marlin's in-car camera as Bill Elliott is right beside him and Ward Burton up ahead.
And we see that's the Sterling Marlin car going underneath Elliott. And Earnhardt trying to take over that third spot, but Cope says,
Inside in turn number 3 and takes the position, but battling back on the outside is Derek Cope, and Lake Speed is right there also, but now Earnhardt gets the 3rd position and sets his sights on this duo, Jeff Gordon and the leader of the race, Brett Bodine. Here are the Burke brothers, Ward inside, Jeff outside, into 3.
Chevrolet being driven by Ward and the Ford being driven by Jeff.
Sterling Marlin watching on it, and Jeff Gordon trying to take the lead away from Brett Bodine.
Brett gives him room. He's got the opening at the bottom of the racetrack, and let's see who leads this lap. Bodine by a half a car length.
But I think Gordon has the preferred line, Bob. Normally on these short tracks, that inside is the best place to be, and I expect he'll get him maybe going into turn 3, and he does.
So now Jeff Gordon has the lead.
Now, if he makes it back to the line, he will have led his first lap here at North Wilkesboro.
And 5 points. There it is. Bill Elliott now to the outside of Todd Bodine.
Bill Elliott needs to get to the inside, but there's no place to go on the inside. There's not a spot. Meanwhile, he's just riding along trying to find that spot. He battles with the Bodine brothers, Todd in the 75, Jeff in the number 7. There you see Terry Labonte back at the very top of that screen. The Kellogg Chevrolet, he won this race last year, but qualified about the 30th spot.
And Jeff Bodine, car 7, won the race last fall here at this track and beat everybody by a lap or more.
Yeah, and he rubbed Bill Elliott just a little bit going into turn 1 that time and was able to get on the inside of it and make the pass.
And I don't see that Earnhardt is closed on the back bumper.
See if he makes a pit for the position into turn 1. He's looking outside. I don't think so.
He might want to make Brett Bodine think he's looking outside.
Yeah.
Looks like those cars are running 30 miles an hour on that track. Trust me when I tell you, folks, that they're running much, much faster than that.
Here's Steve Grissom and Ken Schrader. That's for 13th and 14th.
Morgan Shepherd following the leading that duo. Morgan is in 15th spot, is being shown in 15th, but 13th, I'm sorry.
There is Jeff Gordon. Not only is the first time that he has left at North Wilkesboro and he picked up the 5 points, but of course that continues his streak. He has now led every race so far this year. The battle is for second spot. Bodine and Earnhardt. And now here comes Bobby Labonte along with Dale Jarrett to the inside of Robert Presley.
And they're battling for 31st position back there.
Well, you can see that there are racers all around the racetrack. 30th position is side by side. Oh, and contact between the 28 and the 37.
And there's damage to the front end of John Andretti's car. No caution, but Andretti has damage on the left front of his car. We continue to watch up front. Earnhardt still unable to take away that second position.
Okay, we'll take a look again. Dale Jarrett was on the outside of Robert Presley, and Presley, I don't know if he didn't know he was out there, and Jarrett had to back off, and John Andretti had a run coming off the turn, and when Jarrett got sideways, he bumped him.
Now we see Earnhardt going to the inside of Brett Bodine and picking up second position. And here is Ken Schrader passing the 29 of Steve Grissom.
And Grissom started to get just a little bit loose as he exited turn 4. We're almost 20 laps into this race. We're going to be seeing more and more of that as the race wears on.
And I think there was also damage, I know there's damage to the left rear of the 28 car, but I don't see any smoke, so apparently not rubbing on a tire.
There's some sheet metal damage there, but maybe no harm.
Grissom to the inside now of Morgan Shepherd.
Grissom in 29, the black and yellow car, the Meineke muffler. Morgan Shepherd, red and white 21, Sitco.
Looks like a little bit of contact between Ward Burton and Morgan Shepherd.
They definitely got together, but they continue on. No major problems there.
And Jeff Burton in the 8 Rebestos car trying to follow his brother. Well, actually trying to pass his brother. Craven, the 41 car, the green and white car, Michael Waltrip, the yellow 30, and we see Kyle Petty back there in the 42.
This is out the back of Sterling Marlin's car, looking back on Craven and Michael Waltrip. Now Waltrip moves up beside Craven in the first turn.
Michael there, he's got that 41.
Tom Kernan has a report on the Pennzoil number 30, driven by Michael Waltrip.
Bob, it'll be tough for Michael to relay what is going on with his car and the chassis setup as this race goes on with his crew. That's because he can only hear them on the radio. When he goes to punch his button to talk back to them, they cannot hear him. So they're having a radio problem. Probably have to work out hand signals so Michael can tell them whether the car is tight or loose.
We are hearing, however, conversation between Kyle Petty and his crew.
We're watching electronics as he accelerates down the straightaway up to 119 miles an hour. Very, very close. Up in turns 3 and 4.
There.
You heard his spotter tell Kyle that he was clear, meaning that he had completed the pass of Craven and he could get back in line.
35 cars still in the lead lap. Only Dick Trickley is 1 lap down as a result of not being able to take the green flag.
Now Kyle to the inside of Michael Waltrip, picking up another position as Darrell Waltrip moves alongside his brother. And there again, you again hear that the spotter told Kyle he was clear of Michael. So we'll take a break and be back with more of our live coverage here at North Wilkesboro. 27 laps have been completed. It's Jeff Gordon leading Dale Earnhardt and Brett Bodine. Stay with us. The overhead shots coming from the Family Channel blimp high above North Wilkesboro, North Carolina Speedway in the First Union 400. On its 95 tour, helping to spread the word about Family Channel's quality, value-based programming and original movies. Glad to have them with us again here in the Winston Cup circuit.
And that yellow thing that you see waving in the breeze is one of the cameras that the crews are
taping the pit stops with.
Taping their pit stops with, so they can go back and look at them and see what went wrong. And there we see Jeff Gordon. Nothing going wrong with that DuPont car.
Again, here are the finishes that he has experienced this year. He is 4th in points and would be much higher were it not for those poor finishes compared with his wins. He's 22nd at Daytona, 36th at Richmond, 32nd at Darlington. The others, he's won.
I don't think we're going to point out the obvious.
Well, they just put a lap on the 34th place car, Randy LaJoy.
And Dr. Punch has a report from the pits as Kyle Petty goes to the inside of Rick Mast. Doc?
And as you watch that move by Bobby Hamilton sliding inside of the one car, we'll mention the tire concern during the pre-race that the tires may go 40 or 50 laps. What some of the drivers are being told is the cars are getting looser. We are told Earnhardt's car now getting a little bit looser, and so is Gordon, surprisingly. But we are being told that about 32 laps was halfway on the set of tires. So expect the leaders to come in around lap 62 to 65 for the first green flag stop for 4 tires. Bob?
All right, we see a summary for you now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you hear a groan during the broadcast, it's because my right shoulder has been severely injured by Benny bopping me one when I miscalled the 43.
Once more, 43 is Hamilton. Bobby Hamilton. Got it? Ouch. Okay.
Stop that.
I got to be a referee here, too, huh?
Ned, help us out here.
What's going
Stand
on
between us.
Musgrave trying to take over Ricky Rowe. Warburton.
Warburton sliding down the backstretch. Didn't hit.
Caution is out. Caution is out.
Boy, there'll be a lot of drivers glad to see this caution because Bill Elliott, Robert Presley, Morgan Shepherd were just about to go a lap down.
And I tell you what, how many cars will, every car but Dick Trickle and Randy LaJoy will probably pit. Here we see Ward Burton coming in, and we see some damage to the right front. So a little bit of touch on the right front has knocked the tire in. Watch as the 31 car comes off, and he touches Rick Mast, and look at the job Rick does. And that's the new entrance to pit road that Ward spins down through there. He just puts it in gear and drives on the pit road.
Looks like Sterling Marlin got a little bit of contact from Kyle Petty, too, during that incident. Now we see the pit stops being made. Here they come down pit road, the long pit road with Jeff Gordon leading them.
And I don't know about this. I don't know about this. The pace car.
The pace car.
They passed the pace car down pit road. I mean, the pace car was on the racetrack. They went down pit road. John Kernan.
Mid Sterling Marlin spent the crew a 4-tire change. The car a little bit tight, so they'll take 2 rounds a bite out of the car. They're already working on the left side. There goes the chassis adjustment in that left rear. Let's go down to Jeff Gordon's pit. Jerry Punch and Sterling leads.
They have already put right side tires, left side going out. Here's Gordon going out, and he comes together almost with Morgan Shepherd and hands on the brakes, but Gordon and Shepherd do not have contact as Gordon manages to exit pit road. And as they all slam down the pits, I might mention Benny Parsons. You saw the lead cars pass the pace car a moment ago coming in the drivers' meeting. The driver said, look, if we come down pit road at 35 miles an hour, we're actually going to pass the pace car because pit road has a shorter radius. And NASCAR said, that's okay. If you pass it, as long as you're going 35 miles an hour, there will be no penalty.
Thank you very much, Dr. Punch.
That makes sense. It's a lot shorter around the racetrack down in there. Now, the near collision. Watch this.
21 is coming in, and Jeff Gordon is leading. And look at that, almost. And Earnhardt leaves and takes over the lead from Jeff Gordon.
So that's the way they will line up. When we go back to green, there is Morgan Shepherd, who has completed the service on his car. We'll be right back. Welcome back to North Wilkesboro. We time to just just right. The green flag comes out on lap number 46, restarting our First Union 400 after a caution caused by Ward Burton's slide down the backstretch.
Mike Wallace in the 90 car, the Heilig Myers car, a lap down.
The leader is Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon. Brett Bodine is third, and Rusty Wallace is on the move. He is up to fourth position already and right on the back bumper of Brett.
There we see his brother, Mike Wallace, on the inside as he closes up, as you said, right on the back bumper of the 11 car. Rusty started 11th, is now fourth. And Mark Martin, one of the cars that all the guys touted in the garage area, has been one of the best cars here this afternoon.
There's Martin's in car. He's trying to get around that lap car of Wallace. Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Spencer racing together.
Bobby Labonte just made the pass on Jimmy Spencer.
Now he closes up on the back bumper of his brother, Terry Labonte, in the 5 car.
Bill Elliott lost a lap in the pits during this round of pit stops as we watch the Labonte brothers race. Bobby Labonte has now moved up to 23rd position.
He broke his shoulder just about 3 weeks ago at the Darlington race, so
I can sympathize with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it so hard a while ago. But they feel like he will be okay to run the entire 400 laps here at North Wilkesboro today.
One of the provisional starters. He began the race back in 35th position, Bobby Labonte. Dale Earnhardt, by the way, has now led 22 races here at North Wilkesboro. This is his 33rd start, and he has won at this racetrack 4 times, this race 3 times, and he has won the fall race once.
Well, I talked about the 6 car running well. Yeah, they also mentioned the 3 and the 24 in the same breath and running very, very well, and that's pretty obvious.
Dr. Jerry Punch has an update on tire wear. Jerry?
The pre-race concerns about tire wear are reality now. Let me show you the right rear tire off Jeff Gordon's car here, and Gordon wasn't running that hard. The wear indicators here are worn away. Now, this tire begins today with 3.5 30 seconds of rubber. Take a look. In 42 laps, it has a 1.5 30 seconds of rubber left. And folks, that's not much. This tire is worn out in less than 45 laps. Let's go up pit road to John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, the news for Sterling Marlin is just the opposite over here as we look at his right rear tire. 3.25 30 seconds they've measured. Sterling getting very, very good tire wear, and that's what he told me this morning that they had concentrated on.
And that could be the story of the race before it's all over.
And they're talking about 3 30 seconds to 1.5 30 seconds. That's 3 30 seconds of an inch. 3 30 seconds of an inch. 2 30 seconds is 1/16th of an inch. And a 16th is like 60,000. So, I mean, these tires are very, very little tread on them.
And we might mention that the reason they do wear out so much here on this racetrack is because it's very abrasive. This track is very abrasive, like Darlington used to be before they repaved it. Some telemetry here on Kyle Petty's car. They're doing some dancing out there, aren't they?
It looked like the 4 car was getting a little loose as he came off the corner. Let's see how many RPMs. I couldn't tell how many RPMs that Kyle turned. But we see the slowest speed he gets down to in the corner is about 73 miles an hour. That's a
slow up there on the bottom, too.
They said the 15 is slow.
Getting him to move over.
That's the spotter telling the 15 is slow on the bottom, so don't try to dive inside someone. You'll get trapped behind the 16.
What do you get, about 83, 400 RPM, Benny?
I was trying to talk. I can't talk and look at the same time.
There's Kyle moving inside of Marlin.
There.
Steve Grissom comes along. Well, he was clear. Grissom did not make the pass. He was not able to get down there.
That's a mess is what we got right there.
Yeah, that is a mess. Dale Jarrett has found him a groove up on the outside. He's passed 4 or 5 cars there on the outside.
And the 37 car is still running there with Dale. They had a collision earlier.
And you see the right front fender on that 37 car? That made you sticking right out there, acting like the sail when he goes down the straightaway.
But it hadn't slowed him up much.
I don't know. There was a report that he really didn't have any chassis damage, just sheet metal damage to the 37 car.
Well, I tell you, if a car is even a half a second or less slower than you are here, it is very, very tough to pass. But there's not many cars out there that are a half a second apart. I mean, we're talking tenths and hundredths of a second, and which makes it almost impossible to pass.
Race for third place.
Rusty Wallace trying to take third from Brett Bodine. Has the inside line and gets it. Rusty moves to third.
And he's doing some serious steering as he came off that corner.
Oh, and a spin. Dave Marcus and Lake Speed get together, and a bunch of cars really.
And here comes the leader, Earnhardt, into this mess. But I'm sure his spotters told him to slow down. Yes, he did.
A lot of cars just simply had to stop.
We got Lake Speed up at the top of the track, and we have Dave Marcus at the bottom.
And they got together going into turn 3, touched just a little bit, and both of them went around.
And Dave is going the wrong way. I got news for you, Dave.
And we'll show you the beginning of it as they go into the turn. See Marcus on the inside. He's going to touch him right there, just enough to send the 9-car of Lake Speed around.
Now here's the whole thing from a robotic camera. There they make contact. Michael Walter, how did he miss that 71 car?
Good heads-up driving. And see here how many cars try to get in that hole, and they just simply have to stop. There's nowhere for them to go. Or not that many, at least. And everybody now into the pits.
Once again, pit stops occurring as the second caution is waving over North Wilkesboro. Here's Jerry and Jeff Gordon's pit.
And you might wonder why they would pit again. They just pitted about 24 laps ago, was because what we showed you a moment ago with tire wear. He gets 4 fresh tires, and Gordon is down. Here's Brett Bodine down. And Rusty, a great pit stop by Robin Pemberton. As Dale Earnhardt getting 4 tires, he comes out of the pits in 4th spot. 4 fresh tires for cars on the lead lap.
So it will be Rusty up front when we go back to racing in a few moments. Brett Bodine out second, then Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. Let's take a look at this spin once again up in corner 3.
Now we see all the cars trying to stop, brakes, sliding the tires. And watch as both these cars, one inside, one outside. There's Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte. He and the 28 car make contact. Jeff Bodine just simply stopped up there.
We should give a call, though, to Dave Marcus because he had moved up to 19th from 36th position when he had that run-in with Lake Speed. So we're under caution once again. Take a break. Be back with more live coverage of the First Union 400. Welcome back to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, and the First Union 400. Rusty Wallace has the lead in this race. Brett Bodine running second, then Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin. So Dale went from 1st to 4th. Jerry, why?
Let me show you what happened in the Earnhardt pit. They changed the right side tires, and while they're changing the right side, they take the left side lug nuts off. Now, when they drop the jack on the right side, the left side lug nuts already being off, let the left side of the car fall, and therefore David Smith couldn't get the base plate of the jack beneath the pin, the left side of the car to jack the left side up. That cost them an additional possibly 3 or 4 seconds, at least 3 spots on the racetrack, Bob.
Just like we documented in our pre-race show, it is so important in the pits.
And there you see, the first thing you see from this shot is where the jack goes on the right side of the Family Channel Ford. The little white thing that sticks down is the jack stop, or the little pipe that comes down, they place the jack under.
Boy, that camera on Dick Trickle's car last week at Bristol showed us some great shots, and I'm sure it will today from Ted Musgraves. Now Earnhardt pulls up to challenge Jeff.
Earnhardt is running just a little bit higher line than these other cars. It makes you keep thinking he's going to try running even higher, passing these guys on the outside. And really, you can try right now because there's no one right behind him to get under him if he should try.
He's probably testing that groove out and also also, like you said earlier, making them think he's going to go up there.
Joe Nemechek, Terry Labonte, and Dale Jarrett are racing for position back in 19th, 20th, and 21st. John?
Dale Jarrett has a little left rear quarter panel damage on his car. That's not affecting it at all. Larry McReynolds says the car is okay. But on the very first pit stop, their right rear tire changer, Eric Korn, injured his knee. Not seriously enough to go to the care center, but seriously enough that he can no longer do pit stops. For that second stop, they had to do some changes. Raymond Fox moved over from the left side lug nut to the left rear to the right rear, while Doug Yates moved to the left side and left rear. They only lost a half a second. 17:70 for the first pit stop, 18:27 for the second pit stop.
Inside Kyle Petty's car, that's Derek Cope right beside of him. There's Kyle, coming up behind the 71 car, trying to get alongside Dave Martin. Now down in turn 1. Oh, and they get through the corner somehow. And Cope is now hung up on the inside of the 4 car. He's going to try it on the inside.
And he's going to make 3 abreast. Is he going to? Hey, that might not work. Well, Dave Marcus backed off, which was smart.
And looky here, Earnhardt trying his best to get by Jeff Gordon, and we see Mike Wallace on the outside. There's 3rd and 4th place. Jeff Gordon in 24, Dale Earnhardt in 3. Gordon is 3rd, Earnhardt in 4th. The leaders right now, Rusty Wallace and Brett Bodine is in 2nd. Inside Mark Martin's car, 5th place car.
He goes to the inside of Mike Wallace.
There's 6th, Bobby Hamilton in the STP Pontiac.
And then Ricky Rudd right behind him. The Fram Field Submarine where they were running last time around.
Still 29 cars on the lead lap.
On the inside of Mark Martin as he comes down the front straightaway by the start finish line and tries to close up on the 3 car. As we see Jeff Gordon trying to look inside the 11 up in front. Yeah, looks like that the 11 is going to be going a little wide. No.
While they're doing that racing, Rusty Wallace has driven off from him.
His car stalled, wouldn't start, they pushed it to the garage area, and I see he's driven back out on the racetrack now, but he's several laps down. 15, 16 laps.
John Andretti, even with the damage on the right front of that race car, has moved up to 14th position.
Make that 13th, because he just passed Darrell Walker.
And he also had to take a provisional. Started at the rear of the field in 34th position. So Andretti is making his way to the front rather quickly, despite the damage there on the right front after contact with Dale Jarrett.
Talked to Michael Kranovitz this morning, one of the owners of the 37 car, and he is very, very pleased with the job that John Andretti is doing in that Kmart Little Caesars car.
Pizza, pizza.
Racing. Steve Christian, the 29 car, trying to get alongside.
And once again, Jeff Gordon looks to the outside of Brett Bodine, but they continue to run in that order, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Bodine, Gordon, and Earnhardt. Here is Kyle Petty going to the inside of Ted Musgrave. Going to 9th.
There's Kyle Petty's radio we were listening to. Cameras in both those cars. There's a camera on top of Kyle Petty's car. Hey,
look at this.
3 cars.
Earnhardt moves to 3rd place, passing Jeff Gordon.
Jeff couldn't get by the 11, so Earnhardt said, hey, boy, move over. Let me try this. And at 23 years old, I think about anybody here can call Jeff Gordon boy.
right there in 5th, not too far behind Jeff Gordon now. What a great run in Bristol last weekend, but had to give up second place with a few laps to go. Now we have Rudd and Greg Sachs going at it. This is for 7th position, and Greg Sachs, talk about people that have moved up in the early part of the race. Look at this, from 32nd to 8th.
He had an absolute great pit stop as Earnhardt makes the move around Brett Bodine and takes over second.
Now Jeff, well, he had an idea, but couldn't do it.
Now, let's see if Earnhardt can run down Rusty Wallace. We can see that Earnhardt is faster than Brett Bodine. He pulled 1 car length on that back straightaway.
What's your unofficial stopwatch saying, Dad, as to Rusty's lead here?
2 3/10 seconds. So that was the last lap, yeah.
There he is. That's Rusty Wallace on their left. There he is, Rusty Wallace, and Earnhardt with the car on their right.
Now Earnhardt has closed in a little bit since he has moved into second. He's only about 1 8/10 seconds. So we'll take a look at it officially here.
Brett Bodine, 2.3, 2.6, and Hamilton, 3.3. Jerry, what about Jeff Gordon here?
Bob, not really a surprise to see Earnhardt go by Jeff Gordon after I showed you that tire a little bit ago, realizing that Gordon ran the car pretty hard early on and had only about a 32nd and a half on that right rear. And they realized that they cannot burn tires off the car that quickly this afternoon to be able to be there at 400 laps. So they're going to back off a little bit, stay on the lead lap, conserve the tires and the race car until it's time to make their move.
Kyle Petty passes another car. This one is Ricky Rudd.
That puts him in 8th place. Rudd moves back to 9th. Musgrave is 10th, right behind him.
So Rusty Wallace, the only driver with 2 top 5 finishes on short tracks in 1995, has the lead of this race with almost 100 laps or a fourth of the event gone already. We're watching from Ted Musgrave. Car as he battles with Ricky Rudd. They're into the corner side by side, and Musgrave may come out of it with the spot error. Now Jeff Gordon trying to take over 3rd position from Brett Bodine, and he will make the move. Now it's Wallace, Earnhardt, Gordon, Bodine, and Martin. Let's take a look at whether or not Earnhardt has been able to eat into that advantage that Rusty Wallace has on him. Earnhardt is running in 2nd position. On the 90th lap, he was 2.5 seconds behind Wallace. And on the 94th lap, he had cut into that advantage by 1 second. Now about a second and a half behind Rusty Wallace, the leader of the First Union 400 with 302 laps to go. Back in a moment. They're running Formula One today for the 2nd time this year. They're the top 5 qualifiers for the Grand Prix of Argentina as they return to that country. David Coulthard on the pole with Damon Hill alongside his teammate. Michael Schumacher, the defending world champion, is 3rd. You can see this race at 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight on The Deuce, ESPN2. 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Mark Martin, we're riding with him here in the Valvoline car, just past the 11th car and went to 4th.
Down in turn 1. There's the lap car in there. We see it. The 11 car right behind him. 43. Bobby Hamilton has caught the 11 car.
I wanted to say that, man. And Earnhardt has caught up to Wallace, hasn't he?
Yep.
And Wallace coming in on some heavy traffic.
There's the interval between that group and 1st and 2nd. And you can see that it's just a matter of car lengths as Rusty approaches some slower traffic, and now look at Dale close in.
Ricky Craven wisely moves up, lets Rusty Wallace on the inside, and Earnhardt was saying, shucks, why do you make him go on the outside? Because I think I'm better high than Rusty Wallace.
But now here are 2 cars running side by side in front of him. What are you going to do about them? Okay, Presley gets on by Jimmy Spencer, so that put it down to single cars.
And John Andretti picked up another spot as we watch this battle for the lead. He passed Ricky Rudd. Andretti now to 10th. Robert Presley. And again, passing these guys are not going to be that easy because President wants to stay in the lead lap. And when Rusty Wallace goes by, that's not possible.
Presley is running in 26th position, so still a lot of cars.